So welcome back to week 3 of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. In this episode of the Tech Talk in support at #BeCybersmart, we'll be looking at what inspires and promotes the exploration of cybersecurity careers. Whether it's students, veterans, or those seeking a career or a career change. The dynamic field of cybersecurity is rapidly growing and has something for everybody. So be sure to lift that veneer. There's a whole new world beneath it. Joining us today will be Hans Boshoff. Now, Hans is a very experienced senior security consultant here within the Root Shell pen testing team. Hans is a very skilled web application tester. However, he has not always been a security consultant. And having made the change from being a developer, Hans has walked across the floor from a creator to a security validator. Anyway, without further ado, let's bring Hans in and let's talk about his experience moving into the cyber security space.
Hi Sean, and hello to your audience, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Hans Boshoff and I work as a senior security consultant at Root Shell Security. I do a couple of things as part of my job here, but I specialize in web application security and I do penetration testing of browser-based applications and websites. I'm also involved in the pre-sales activities such as scoping testing engagements with the sales staff, writing up the statement of works and doing quality assurance checks of our test reports. Myself, I studied computer science and information systems at a university in South Africa, and I also lectured web technologies for science and commerce degree students, and I taught a web page design principles module for media communication and art students after I finished my own studies. When I moved to the UK back in 2005, I started my first industry job as a software developer, or rather a web developer, and I have since worked in the development of knowledge management platforms, events management, social media systems, and data entry and data analytics platforms. My friends always joke that it's the perfect job for me as I'm a bit clumsy and I'm pretty good at breaking things.
That's an amazing transition. Tell us how you got into pen testing.
Well, it's been quite a journey, I can tell you that much. A friend of mine started working as a junior pen tester, must have been about 10 or more years ago now, and he'd occasionally ask me to help him figure out how to debug things with JavaScript and why websites or web servers responded in certain ways when you were doing things. And I noticed throughout this though that he was purposefully attempting to break the application logic, interrupt the code flows, attempt to misuse the code on the site, but it was in a different way to how the software QA team did it, and it was actually really interesting and a bit concerning, to be honest. Could somebody mess around like that on the web applications I was developing? I was at that point working as a developer in psychometric testing, and the company had started getting security scans done on the applications we worked on as developers. Now, of course, I know it was due to customers and potential subscribers asking whether it had been tested. I can tell you, the first time reading a report with loads of security fixes, I thought the site was pretty sturdy and it was pretty robust, but going through the report was really quite eye-opening. I asked my friend to recommend me some reading material to understand the reports better, and my interest grew from there. I downloaded some virtual machines. I started reading up on what penetration testing was, how it was done, and what could be done through successfully exploiting a system. I was initially a bit shook up and horrified to learn how bad some of the coding behavior was that myself and everywhere I've worked, people have been doing. It definitely made me look at my own work differently. Eventually, I was convinced to try a career change by the same friend, and I was very lucky that the company he worked for took a chance on me.
So how did you find the transition over, and were there any challenges or complications of that skill transfer?
Well, like with any job, There was a bit of awkwardness in the beginning, so much to learn, a new industry, new terminology, completely different work processes. But I found it really exciting, learning to use my existing skills in a different way. It's a bit like mixing being a developer and a lecturer, finding the problems and being able to show why it was a problem, but not from a code logic perspective, more from a risk perspective. The technical writing skills I picked up in preparing application specifications was really helpful for report writing, working face to face with stakeholders during application design and application architecture phases. Taught me it's an important skill to have is to be able to change your vocabulary to fit the target audience. The users of the application do not really care for the technical terminology of what happens in the background, the databases, technology, and so on. And you need to be able to explain any issue or problem to people with different responsibilities and different skill sets. One of the skill sets that surprised me quite a bit was being able to identify coding styles. When I was teaching, I needed to be able to see if assignments were copied from somebody else's. From there, I found that I could sometimes identify when certain parts of an application were done by a single developer or a team based on the coding style. And if you found a vulnerability there, it's a good chance you'll find the same problem somewhere else where that same coding style was present. A couple of the challenges that come to mind, one is on-site work. It can surprise you. Working within somebody else's office environment, cramped working spaces, chatty strangers, it can make for a varied experience, especially for neuroatypical individuals. The security processes that we as testers help to establish and encourage can also sometimes make the job really challenging. I'm sure, Sean, that you can share many stories of being allowed on site but not into the server room, or being allowed into the server room but not having the permission to open the cabinet to plug in and start testing.
That's really interesting, Hans. So finally, do you have any advice for anybody looking to pursue a career in cybersecurity?
The first thing that comes to mind when somebody asks me for advice and when they're interested in cybersecurity is you do not have to have formal education or a university degree for you to start learning how to do cybersecurity. Formal education and even degrees and those kind of things, they teach you a lot of soft skills hidden under the academic stuff. It's not something that you need right from the get-go, something that you can learn through experience and through time. The one great thing about cyber security is that it is a very dynamic industry to work in. As people fix and repair and prevent attacks that are out there, the malicious actors are continuously developing better and stronger ways of attacking things, breaking into places. So it's a fantastic job to have because you have to continuously upskill. You're required to spend time and dedicate time to learning, understanding things better, which I always felt was a little bit missing from the software development industry. In general, there's one thing I learned from one of the courses that I did and that is to try harder. Eventually you'll win, eventually you'll understand. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And if you're unsure of where to start, try them all. Look at conferences, find the reading materials, ask friends if they know any companies, go online, have a look in places like Reddit, have a look on places like Twitter for the well-known people that always speak at the conferences, see what they're working on, see if what they're talking about is interesting, and never give up, try harder.